Mutual Development Corporation is a state-owned institution and one of the minority shareholders in ArcelorMittal South Africa. NUMSA spokesperson Phakamile Hlubima-Jola says the situation for the 3,500 workers and their families is desperate.
It's very, very stressful. I mean, I think you can imagine if you are getting into the year and already you're being told that your job is on the line. So our members are very, very anxious. A lot of them are very scared, very worried about their families, and very concerned because at this point we have been engaging with ArcelorMittal South Africa in Section 189 consultation on this issue. In fact, we had our most recent engagement on Monday, and that's when they communicated to us that even at that point they still have not received any official confirmation from government, whether it's DTIC or any other arm of government.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 360 experience with myself, Thomas Mabaso. Guys, this job losses crisis is getting worse by the day. Every day the reports are coming in that more and more people are losing their jobs. You remember that a couple of days ago we were reporting about that giant steel company ArcelorMittal and the fact that ArcelorMittal has decided to close shops and over 4,000 people are going to lose their jobs. And this is only for now, because in the long run over 100,000 people are going to be affected. And we have also learned about a couple of companies that have decided to close shop. So right now there's a clip that I want to share with you guys. It seems like even the engineering sector is suffering the same losses, and I thought it would be quite important to share this interview with you to show you what is happening in this country. And these are just some of those stories that are not reported en masse, but on the ground people are feeling the pain. Every day people are feeling the pain, despite the narrative that is coming from the left that they don't need the investors, they don't need all of these companies, these people can leave and we just want to be friends with Hamas. But right now people on the ground are being affected by these job losses, and I don't know what the comrades are going to do. And all of these people that have been demonizing the investors all of this time, I don't know if they are going to invest so that people can find jobs. So the situation is going to get worse. You remember that even yesterday and on Friday we were speaking about the situation in Pretoria where people are storming the offices of the company. Even yesterday BMW and Nissan were actually given 7 days to respond to the so-called grievances of the people. So South Africans, instead of going to Lutuli House or to storm the offices of the politicians that they voted for, the same politicians that have promised them jobs, South Africans right now, they are going to the companies to antagonize the companies, to intimidate the companies, and now they are giving companies an ultimatum. Guys, it is going to get bad. It is going to get bad. But I hope that you see this video that I'm going to share with you guys, and after watching that video, please tell me what you think on the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso. I will see you next time. Bye bye.
One of South Africa's struggling sectors, and that's the engineering sector. Steel and engineering, both working hand in hand, because the National Employers Association, NIASA, warns of major job cuts due to tough economic conditions. We're already seeing those. High wage costs being a key part of this. Over the past 6 years, member firms have fallen from 1,800 to 1,500. That's according to NIASA's data. That's costing around 10,000 jobs in that 6-year period. Let's talk about this. The CEO, Gerard Palpenfuss, joins us now. Gerard, appreciate the time. Thank you so much. What's happened? How did we get here? Because these job losses are absolutely astronomical.
Yeah, we're just talking engineering industry this morning. Well, you know, there's many factors that contribute to the problem. But you know, as downstream manufacturers, there's two outstanding issues that caused major job losses. The one is the wage scales of the MEIBC. The collective bargaining model of the MEIBC favors big business, and they're shedding jobs as well now. But it's absolutely hammered the downstream. That's the engineering industry steel industry is the most expensive industry in terms of wages. And the problem lie primarily at your entry level wages, your lower skilled wages, and I believe that the sector is, in itself has lost 200,000 jobs in the last decade and a half. That's massive. And then since 2015 there's import duties to protect AMSA, and that has increased the price of steel. Now, what the industry needs affordable raw material. And the attempt to protect AMSA has killed AMSA's clients. And now it's come back to bite AMSA. So, the industry doesn't grow. That's it. We just cannot grow. The industry is in decline. When AMSA says they're closing Van der Bijl Park and Vereniging, the long steel plant, that's big news because it's apparently 3,500 direct jobs, which, if you look at all the people depending on these workers, as well as the indirect jobs, I mean, it may be tens of thousands of jobs that will be affected. But what is not great news, but what is devastating is the continuous leakage of jobs in every company. Every day, companies are laying off workers. Every
100%.
day, 10-year, 5-year, and so on. And that's thousands.
Gerard, I mean, and we're just going to put up a graph on our screen now to just talk about, and this is just some of the job losses that are happening in steel and engineering this year. That's 2025, right? You have ArcelorMittal, as you've just been speaking about, with 3,500. Goodyear spoke a little bit earlier. That's tire manufacturing, so it's not necessarily steel and engineering, but it is still within that sector, which means it takes away from the downstream work of steel and engineering anyway. So 900 jobs gone there. It
impacts on steel.
100%. Ford Motors, nearly 500 jobs lost there. Glencore, mining company, which means that steel and that manufacturing from raw material, also 3,000 jobs lost there. The big question somebody would ask, though, is this a purely South African thing? Is it just happening here, or are there greater issues that are being faced within steel, within engineering, within metals, within mining, globally?
Well, as far as steel is concerned, there is an oversupply of steel in China, and I mean it is indeed impacting the whole world. But here's the complex issue. If there is cheaper, or more, let's not call it cheap steel, because it's not cheap steel. It's good steel. It's more affordable. It's just there's a different process, but if you don't make use of that cheaper steel, your competitor will. So South Africa is protecting AMSA with, in some cases, duties beyond 50%. Now, that same steel comes from China to another country in Africa and other places in the world, and there are manufacturers that are making use of that steel. Now, the moment you do that, but you protect your own downstream, or not, you protect AMSA, that impacts on the manufacturer that buys that steel, and that impacts on his competitiveness. So our export is virtually killed. Our manufacturers cannot compete with our competitors that gets that steel. So that's very complex. You protect the upstream. What the downstream needs is cheap, affordable raw material, but protection on the final finished product. And the South African government often has that the other way around. So it is a global problem, that is so, but we need to adapt, because the affordable steel from China is a fact, whether they like it or not. I mean, it would have been wonderful if we could make that steel, and if AMSA could provide the market at a price competitive with what China can produce,
Yeah.
then it would have been wonderful. But we don't have that. So the downstream now get it both ways because the manufacturing process is very expensive, and now people are
So-
importing. I mean, if you travel from Pretoria to Johannesburg or Tambo, you're seeing these big warehouses along next to the road. That's where manufacturing has gone to in South Africa. People are importing finished products, and that is devastating for jobs. We are industrializing at a huge scale, and there's other reasons for that. That's not only steel and jobs.
Okay.
The price, the level of wages in steel. That's not the only reason. There are other reasons as well.
So somebody would say then, because, and here's the other graph, right? In terms of, I think it's the last 6 years, in terms of the members you've had, it's gone from 1,800 businesses, which carried 65,000 employees, to around 1,500 businesses now with 55,000 employees. So that's at least 10,000. That's just in terms of your own members. So
That's
is
just
this,
that.
Is
Yeah.
this meant to be a policy shift that we should have had in place here, where we should have actually been thinking we may be losing at the bottom end, but maybe we've moved up the product cycle or the supply chain, meaning we're now doing more finished goods, we're now creating other industries, we're now upstream a little bit more. Is that happening at the very least? Or is it just a case of we're losing these jobs and we're losing them completely and that's it? Technology has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, you know what? We live in a changing world. There's no doubt about it. I mean, everything is changing, and the technology brings other opportunities, but there's other challenges coming now. You know why? While we have better equipment to do jobs better, what are we going to do with the people that we need to employ now? I don't think our industrial policy is simply not correct. We just don't get it right. The scale in which we're currently losing jobs is disturbing. Now, that carries with it the potential of huge socioeconomic unrest. I mean, we can't afford to carry half of our, and even more of our population. We cannot afford having half of our population sitting idle. We cannot. It doesn't matter from what angle you view this you cannot have as a country. And I believe there's a political agenda that drives these things instead of a pure industrial policy, pure and clean. Look at it and say, how are we going to treat this thing? And unless we address that very quickly, we will run into a political problem. And I say political problem. Our youth unemployment is in the 60%.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't give people hope, and if they don't find a job, and there's so much meaning in going to work in the morning and coming home at night and earning a living, the state cannot replace that with a grant. Never. First of all, you can't reach that level of replacement. But when we deny people that meaningful living, looking forward, caring for your family, making a contribution for your children, the moment you take that away, you create a massive problem in a society.
Yeah.